Have y'all ever heard of Riddle? Am I like hella late on this? I think I probably am. All their videos have like 10+ million views. Who lives at the bottom of the Mariana Trench? Holy shit! Should we watch this shit?
The average person's education ends there. Few
All right, let me get this straight. Let me explain something to you guys real quick. Y'all know I love the ocean, right? Like that's one of my favorite place to be ever is in the ocean. I'm surfing, if I'm just literally just swimming, like whatever. I want to be in the ocean. I love the ocean. However, I have a recurring nightmare about a prehistoric dinosaur that lives in the ocean that starts off really small and then gets bigger and bigger and then it eventually swallows me. I haven't had that nightmare in a long time, but it's a recurring one. It started when I was in 2nd grade. And so like the ocean floor freaks me out. I was watching a video yesterday and I was talking about somebody like what would happen if you got swallowed by a whale. And if it's a blue whale, they literally like the size of their throats are literally about the diameter of a golf ball. So they can't physically swallow anything that isn't like broken down or krill or like really small fish, you know? So if you were to get swallowed by a blue whale, like there's all this shit that would happen, but then eventually it would just spit you out. But the likelihood of it being like really, really, really low, like 300, 400, 500 feet below surface is very high because blue whales are known to, after they eat, to dive straight down. So it would just spit you out, right? So here's what would happen. If you got spat out 500 feet, you probably don't have any like deep diving gear. Your ears are probably already popped. You probably have some internal bleeding that's already happening and your lungs are collapsing on themselves, right? So if you were to be spat out 500 feet below surface, you won't make it to the surface. You won't swim fast enough to get to the surface. It's just the bottom line. Like it's a death sentence. It's just, you're done. You get swallowed by a whale. There have only ever been a couple of people that have survived being swallowed by a whale. All right. This is weird, chat, but I started having these intrusive thoughts of like, but my body, I would die. I'd be in heaven at this point. I'd be flying around with the angels, right? But my body would sink to the bottom of the ocean floor. Like, think about that, chat. Body would just sink to the ocean floor. Like, what's down there? What's down there? That crazy fish. I can't remember what it's called in Finding Nemo with the lights. Ah!
Account of the how and why of this mysterious abyss. You cannot imagine what secrets this place hides and how strange are the creatures that live there. This deep furrow in the earth is in the west of the Pacific Ocean, near the Mariana Islands, from which its name is taken. The Mariana Trench is a huge V-shaped trough 1,500 kilometers long and more than 11,000 meters deep.
What's kilometers? What's 15,000 kilometers in miles?
Something as tall as Everest could easily be dropped into this vast and near bottomless channel, while still meters deep. Something as tall as Everest could easily be dropped into this vast and near bottomless channel, while still leaving more than a kilometer of water to the surface. And now about
what's 1 kilometer in miles?
For ages, it was believed that emptiness reigned and life there a priori was impossible in such.
That is insane. 9,320 miles.
A remote and monstrously deep place. The Soviet ship Vityaz proved otherwise in 1958. Scientists discovered life at a depth of 7,000 meters. More and more evidence was revealed that the inhabitants
you can't tell me there's something that's like
existed
very intelligent living down there. Like there might be a whole civilization
and the
down there.
Had not affected them.
Mermaids might live down there.
In addition to all kinds of bacteria.
Like imagine a world. Wait, hold on. Imagine a world where like mermaids actually exist, which I believe that they do, first of all. But whatever happens to us when we go down, like in terms of pressure and everything. Same thing happens to them when they swim up. They can't reach the surface. You know what I mean?
Mollusks, there are enormous unidentified
Yeah,
creatures.
I know Atlantis. Like, yeah, I get it, but I'm so
These
serious
are
though.
real monsters. 1960, Jacques Piccard, a Swiss researcher, was the first to attempt an expedition
I
to
know
the
Atlantis
bottom
is real.
of the Gargantuan Gorge. Jacques and his
Shut up,
partner,
Faith.
with the help of the deep-water bathyscaphe
Jacques Cousteau,
Trieste,
what a
reached
daddy.
the lowest point of the world ocean, the so-called Challenger's Abyss, almost 11,000 meters below sea level. These two
Nah, I'm
brave
good,
men
fam.
stayed
Y'all
there
can leave
for
me.
no more than 20 minutes, but they saw enough to say there is life on the bottom of the Mariana Trench. The discovery was a worldwide sensation, is 1,100 times higher than our normal sea level atmosphere, approximately 3 tons per square centimeter. Even iron bends under such monumental forces. But the local fish somehow
can bend iron.
feel nothing. Huge clams and strange subspecies of fish unknown to science bizarrely thrive in such conditions. But the discovery of life at a depth of 11,000 meters is not the only thing that made this dive famous, or should we say infamous. Many years later, the records of Jacques Piccard's logbook were declassified. The blood runs cold in the veins at the information found therein. The researcher records a terrifying event about halfway to the bottom of the abyss. Quote, "A large disc-shaped object is accompanying our bathyscaphe and is visible through the porthole. The object is maneuvering and clearly looking at us. The object was seen clearly. There was no mistake. Unfortunately, or perhaps to the joy of our adventurers, the object disappeared from view after a few minutes. Who or what it was is still unknown. Our lack of knowledge about the nature of this phenomenon suggests that it may indeed perhaps be a creature from an unknown underwater civilization, or maybe some descendant of some more ancient, intelligent beast." Speaking of ancient creatures, 1985. The crew of the American ship Glomar
I remember
Challenger
reading about this.
carefully studied the bottom of the yawning, crushing concavity, lowering the 9-meter ball-shaped device called the Hedgehog.
They're calling it
into
an
the depths.
object, but it's like,
Suddenly,
it's not, no.
the computer began recording the strangest
It's a UFC,
sounds.
it's an unidentified
The cables
floating
holding the
creature.
probe stretched and stretched and stretched almost to the breaking. The researchers rushed to bring the device back to the surface to find out the
what's
reason
up,
for
Locke?
these strange happenings. They attempted
Yeah,
to
man.
reel it in.
I miss
but
World
the
Cup. That was such a
Hedgehog
fun
wouldn't
weekend.
budge. There, in the depths, something held fast to the device and wouldn't let it go.
What you mean?
Finally, after 3 hours of fighting, their machines could at last raise the probe. The unknown force had released it. And then, as the probe was pulled from the sea, a terrible sight was revealed to the scientists. The probe looked as if it had been in the jaws of an underwater monster. There were bite marks on the plating, and some of the steel cables had been torn off. What kind of creature could have done this? The incident caused quite a bit of consternation. The condition of the cables and platform was simply astounding. To contain this wave of fear, as all the team members were extraordinarily frightened, the official version of the incident was that the platform got stuck on a rock, which is
Yeah.
what caused the damage. But the crew knew that there was something huge and enormously powerful there at a depth of 11 kilometers. According
I mean, I would imagine that was a huge rock.
to the official version,
Right.
everything was the same as previously discovered. The bottom of the Mariana Trench is covered with various mountains, but the precise area where the studies were conducted was barren. There was not a single rock. There was nothing for the probe to get caught on.
What?
If that were so, the onboard instruments would have alerted them to a collision. But that did not happen. And apart from the terrible damage, there were still those horrible, heart-rending sounds, which no one has ever explained. Later, biologists suggested another more sensational version of the incident after systematically reviewing all of the long-term reports from the researchers. Their verdict? That a giant relic The monster Megalodon damaged the cables and platform. This huge prehistoric shark, which weighed 50 tons and was 22 meters
Y'all see the Megalodon movie?
in length, is a long extinct ancestor of modern sharks. It was
Hello,
believed that it
Bruce.
disappeared more than 1.5 million years ago.
I
But
am
if
a
the
nice
report is
shark,
correct, then
not a
Megalodon did
mindless
not
eating
depart this world
machine.
after all, but found shelter in the depths of the Mariana Trench. This idea did not come out of nowhere. The scientists had discovered a giant tooth the size of a man's hand. A thorough study confirmed the tooth did indeed belong to the ancient creature Megalodon. Some years later, a Japanese dry cargo ship, which passed over the storied trench, received a severe blow to its side, which literally made the ship jump in the water. At the same time, the water surface was absolutely calm. There were no reefs or other obstacles nearby.
What?
The crew of another vessel traversing the Marianas, the Federico Padre, saw in the distance a huge column of water jet into the sky, expelled perhaps by some beast. Just imagine the horror the sailors must have experienced. And here is the most recent example. Scientists during a recent expedition discovered an unusual jellyfish, which now and then looks something like an alien from another planet. The body of the jellyfish with its long tentacles glows
You know
red
that bit
and yellow.
stings.
Scientists have captured it on video. The creature belongs to the jellyfish genus Crosota and has 2 sets of tentacles. The tentacles, as we can see, extend, eerily elongating while the body remains motionless. This behavior indicates that she hunts for her prey, luring them into an ambush. This bizarre creature was discovered in a mysterious and little-known area of the
Brewmaster, thank you for the
Mariana
Prime. I
Trench
appreciate
called
it.
the submarine peak of the Enigma.
AJ,
at a
thank you for the
depth
tier 1
of
for a
about
year, baby.
3,700 meters. Perhaps we have been looking for aliens in all the wrong places. While we look to the sky and peer far into the heavens at some distant planet, they are right under us. They are closer than we think. Whatever the creatures are, strangely, the ocean is now studied even less than outer space. And hence, in the future, we can expect many more
And explain
fantastic
that to me.
discoveries.
Why? Why are we just like putting all of our energy into understanding the ocean?